Now that I've discussed the problem, I want to spend some time discussing the solution to protecting ourselves from this hypnosis that has taken so many. So how do you tap into your own truth? Are you able to regurgitate your own truth and not just consume information from others? Simple things like separating yourself from an urban environment and technology, internet, news in general. There's news that's real, by the way, and there's news that's fake. This has a subconscious effect on the viewer, just merely being exposed to the headline. Go into your favorite websites. There's a bit of truth in there, and then there can also be a bit of distortion that is there, whether the person posted it or not, to engineer fear in the population. And someone could have that frequency affect them even if they're not aware of it or conscious of it, simply by being in the field. As the saying goes, you don't have to affect every fish in the sea, but simply affect the sea itself. So in a lot of urban environments and toxic environments, including toxic work environments, a person can lose themselves. If there isn't space in their own life, in their own day, in their own nights, for them to explore and or express who they are. You know, a lot of people out there really need a person to talk to about their truth. I've met a lot of people out there that have wanted to talk to me because they felt they could speak to no one about what they felt or what they knew. For me, at least at the moment, I'm living multiple lives. I went back to work to be able to pay for a small structure on the property so I can stay in something other than a RV. And that's not an environment where people really want to know who you really are. And certainly don't want to be engaged in deep thought about anything at all. Just workplace drama and other trivial things. Pokemon Go. And so I have to keep any entitlement mentality in check. Entitled to a concept that we should be respected as a human being. Reality is some people aren't going to treat us fully like a human being. Especially if they think that we're competing for them for a position. Because of the way things are in the real world. The real world. We all have our own experiences and it can hurt. But one must stay spiritually strong and remember, A, who they are, B, where they are. Where are we? What is this matrix? Why are we here? Why are we experiencing certain challenges and circumstances? Why has there been some sort of divine intervention at times in our own lives or in the lives of our loved ones? What's going on there? It's the question that nurtures us. The seeking. The seeker, the seer. Seeking the knowledge, seeking the gnosis, being on the path. Even if the path simply starts within. Well, that's really where it needs to start. You're not all required to speak your truth to others. But do I think you should be able to write out your truth or know your truth? Or speak your truth to yourself and to know that it's real, that it's a part of you, that it's not a mimic? Absolutely. Because we are in a process of self-realization. Something got us here. And this world is a doorway to others and beyond. But to be in one's truth, one needs to be grounded enough to quiet the interference. So, generally, grounding yourself is being grounded to the earth. Or the center of the earth. Visualizing a cord. There's different meditations. And you want to explore on your own what works for you to tap into your truth. Since I was a kid, I've been interested in different types of meditation. Haven't studied it all. Certainly certain things that I've heard about, I've never been drawn to do, like transcendental meditation or channeling or anything like that. Things have really been in the arena of self-observation or observation of breath. Meditation through body movements, like certain martial arts techniques that in the end, really, when I train and engage in really what I call moving meditation, which I do share from time to time, it connects me with something deeper within myself and my own creativity and my own awareness, as well as being grounded to the earth. So for meditations and certain practices, and then again, some people love nature, skiing, going cross-country and connecting with the earth that way. It's a real reason why people go out in a tent and sleep on the ground. And it's all there to ground us to something natural, to something that is healthy for our body, as opposed to being ungrounded and being affected with all this technology and radio waves and wireless frequencies and things that literally have an influence on our DNA. What also has an influence on our DNA is going out in the trees or living out in nature, as well as being tapped in on a frequency level to one's own truth. As I said before in another video, I think the difference between a reptilian and a human is maybe less DNA in some cases and more of a frequency, where these words are mere adjectives. Reptilian, archonic, demonic, adjectives describe something beyond that which we understand, to where human energy form can shift, and I would say even be able to be taken over. So psychic protection, which is something that a lot of people that claim they're being gang stalked should look into. To mention a brief technique to bring in your own energy in the form of a gold sun, your own energy. Not alien energy, but your own essence, your own thoughts, parts of yourself that are left somewhere else, past, present, and future. And to bring that energy back into you and into your field, and to ground your field to the center of the earth, and to ground yourself with the masculine and feminine energies of the earth and the cosmos. I find it ridiculous for so-called Christians to say that that technique is Luciferian. Because when you put out the intentions for the light to come from the true Creator and all that created all that is, to bring that field of light into your body and to clear out all foreign energy, attachments, your own thought forms, pictures you're stuck on, emotions, pain, physical, etheric. So to partake in, say, a meditation where you ground yourself and to make it a part of your daily life is something that I would recommend. We're also affected by the food that we eat. And I want to make some more positive changes to my own diet. And sometimes we have to apply additional effort in order to make that happen. And not continue to eat processed meat, for example. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with meat, necessarily, although some people have different ideas on that. A lot of the things that we're taking in, not only in the internet, but the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the food that we eat, have an effect on who we are. And so we need to keep some of our addictions in check, including sex addiction, which is not limited to porn, but countless people are addicted to sex with certain partners that are fulfilling their physical demands and desires on a primitive ooga booga kind of a way. And yet there could be part of themselves that's being sucked by the other person, or exposure to the other person could be affecting their field and their psychology, especially when you're having sexual intercourse with someone and you're exchanging fields upon fields of energy and information. Etherically, energetically. Not to mention physically. On a microcosmic level, what could be taking place as fluids are exchanged and they become one. It's important to think about. It's important to think about the people you become one with in a energetic form or fashion in this day and age. What you eat, what you drink, what you think. Instead of the violent thoughts that they want us to think about, which can clearly be seen and defined quantitatively. spiritually speaking aside, quantitatively. We can see where they're trying to direct towards this. And on a physical sense, yes, there's a consequence for all this violence that the U.S. has been dishing out. But spiritually speaking, that's a lesser discussed topic. So being in a state of love for all that is. Love of others. Sending love to those that are being harmed. The spiritual programming of today's day and age has also created legions of humans that believe they hate God because of the things that humans have done in God's name, when in reality they've probably been serving the agenda of the demiurge. Spoken about in the Gnostic text, the Nag Hammadi, which parallels Satan in the Bible. We have rain here, and my thoughts are drifting kind of from one topic to another, and sometimes I can hit upon a certain buzzword that can almost send me in a state of, what was I talking about? And I remember what I'm talking about, but I'll tell you, when it comes to protecting your psyche, certain things that we talk about, certain things that we do, could react energetically, could cause a reaction to where we end up distracted. And the fact of the matter is, there's going to be certain challenges and even strange things, energy backlash, when we're doing good on the planet. It's just important that we understand that there is something very powerful about us and why some people are attacked, and that we need to rise above it. Now, rising above the programming that I was getting into. People have been spoon-fed a version of God. This punishing God. This destroying God. This rapist God. This racist God. And a lot of people believe that this is like basically what the Gnostics were talking about with the demiurge. The false God concept as well. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that a great many spiritual things have happened on this planet and are happening on this planet. And there are also certain ways that humans, through their perceptions and their senses, I just kind of combined the word there, create a new word for the 21st century, could be duped into believing they're seeing a being of light, or that God is talking to them. We know that man has developed technology to beam and project into people and around people in the skies. And we're at a pretty level of technology, knowing that we're not alone in this universe. How do we know that other forces that have been here, perhaps even if they're earthbound, but they're operating at a different level? In certain times, through certain periods and changes in the sun, the interface with their world and our world becomes closer, and certain things happen. And certain human hosts down here working with them could be trying to engineer certain things to give them more power, whether it be CERN or a sacrifice of millions of people. All energy. Human energy being far more potent than whatever they may be doing with CERN. And so a genuine conversation as to how God works in our lives, or the universe, the source of all that is, it needs to be returned to the conversation. I think it's almost mathematical to see a sense of cause and effect. Cause, effect. Cause, effect. Certain nation states and civilizations that went after others to later be invaded or to implode on their own, whether it be through war or resource depletion, through naturally caused climate change, by changes in the sun, droughts that have eradicated civilizations that have done certain things, no matter how hard they tried and sacrificed to the gods to bring them rain. When their time was done, their time was done. It wasn't like there was something magnificent about the sun as a spiritual being, is that they got it wrong. God isn't something to fear, be afraid of, or necessarily worship. It is something to understand. And that doesn't come about from chanting, I am God, I am God, we are gods. That shortcut doesn't work. Belittling people's spiritual awakenings doesn't work. Becoming dogmatic doesn't work. There's a reason why certain things are taking place. There's a Chinese parable, good luck, bad luck. And in the scenario, things kept changing. And the people kept reacting, oh, this is good, this is bad. His son fell off a horse, broke his leg. The villagers said, what a horrible turn of bad luck, after what they thought was good luck, after the son brought back a bunch of wild horses. And the wise man's like, The parable continues. He wasn't drafted into the war because he had a broken leg. Oh, this is great, says the villagers. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? And so the reality is, it's been a situation here in America where the very things that it's done will come back to it, because it's a natural cycle. There are miracles. There is a point to prayer to the Creator. And despite all that programming to take us from a wanting to know the mind of God to fearing and hating and resenting God, we need a return to center. And so the creator of all that has nothing to do with these artificial false religions as far as I'm concerned. I've seen miracles. I've seen divine intervention in my own life. And the several occasions together, looking back on it, I can see a pattern there. That it's above and beyond. And while I haven't read every spiritual text, I can see parallels, like, not do as thou wilt, but do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That was spoken about by my ancestor, the Sufi mystic of the 11th century, who lived in Herat for his safety from the Islamic Empire at that time. That's in my bloodline, during the Dark Ages. A Sufi who wrote 100 fields on the way to God. Different fields being an attribute, like a character asset. This isn't just something in me that I'm choosing to activate and realign with. It's in you. It's a part of you. This knowledge. It's timeless, it's beyond bloodline, it's beyond any language. It exists and will continue to exist, and the Archons have no control over that. We just happen to be a world that has aspects of it that are interfacing with Archonic influence. Doesn't mean they have all power, but being completely naive of the external influence that they have brought upon this world does not lead one to a greater awakening. Ignorance is not bliss. So I would really consider the question, are your thoughts your own? If you type it into Google, you'll find my video, my article that was published on Renz, how much Renz has changed. Are his thoughts his own, with the demonization whole scale of Middle Eastern immigrants, scapegoated as radical Islamists? But you can read that article, and I'm talking about the mainstream media and flicker effect. And why are so many Americans okay with going into war? And that could all be applied now. But on a larger scale, where's that propaganda really coming from? And notice you live in a world, most of you in the Western world, most of you in the United States probably, and a few in Europe. Too bad I can't talk to more of the world, but we could see how we've been compartmentalized in this so-called online World Wide Web. It's not so worldwide necessarily when it comes to this. But how much information is at your fingertips about the truth about this subject or that subject, or healing yourself, or nutrition, or history? How much information is at your fingertips and my fingertips? Tools, really, these dots of information to help us make the world a better place, to help us understand ourselves more and the world, which are interconnected. We're individuals, but we are a part of a larger pool of energy of human souls that may have splintered outwards. And splintered outwards. And splintered outwards. As we see the population grow on the planet, how many people are sharing a soul? We're a part of a group, family. There's history that we as humans have with each other. You and I may have history, in fact, from another time and place. I surely know that I suspect certain people out there as being my arch nemesis from another time and space. Something out of Star Wars. Or even something from Atlantis. And then I see how others, since I've been speaking on this channel, have written me and told me stories about places where they remember knowing me. And of course, a lot of this sounds like the stuff of crazy people, until you hear it time and time again in certain places in the ancient world come up time and time again. And through my own research into a great many things, whether it's been meditation, martial arts, history, Native American history, China, the United States, certain aspects as well as certain future timelines feels all too familiar to me, in which I can almost feel the past and the present and the future all into one, and it can almost overwhelm someone. Back to grounding, to the present, and being in the body. And so a lot of us are here with perhaps more history than we know. Back to why are we here? And what actions are we partaking in that are maintaining our presence here? And what behaviors, what things, thoughts that can lead to higher frequencies and energies to actually be able to walk through this portal of this world and into a world that's more suited to where we're at that time. These are the things to think about. So as we close here, taking a deep breath and bringing in that knowledge and information, and bring it out, breathing out old energy. Bringing that field of energy towards our body, bringing in our own energy from places that we've left it as it trickles down our bubble. As we lock into the earth and bring in that earth energy, and then bring in this cosmic energy, the true essence of God. Our intentions carving this in stone in the etheric realm. Excluding all demonic energy, excluding all deception, excluding all that is of Satan, all that is of the archons, all that is of the jinn. They have no power here. But the intention to connect to the Supreme Being, also known as the Creator. Asking the Creator for help to stabilize an unstable situation. What if we all asked the true Creator to come down and help us stabilize the situation without going off into different directions and commonly called out to archetypes and spirits? The credibility of which, by looking at their channeled information and the people that have been channeling, very much in question, and almost providing an opposite narrative of what's actually taking place on the planet. You must protect yourself from thoughts that are not your own, and clear out your own head when you get to that deep meditative space from all that is not you. and to pull yourself out of a reactive, fight or flight, instinctual, ancestral programming state of consciousness. Vipassana meditation, which you can read about online, and hear a few tutorials from Goenka himself on YouTube. The natural observation of breath to a neutral, objective, equanimous, harmonious state of being, to where you are all aware of everything in your body, down to the molecular subatomic level. The root. And so, being in a state of mind like that can help us see the larger picture when we come full center and we ground and we're not all over the place. You have thoughts in your own head, like it or not. It's time to start filtering that out and actually refining your ability to tap into the true thoughts or the truth within you. We're not talking about crystal ball reading. But there is truth behind the reality of someone looking at someone in the street and that person turning around immediately without delay. The reality is, on a subconscious level, even below the conscious and parts of the conscious that people just don't look at, there's all types of senses and perceptions that we're receiving from the non-local level. So either we realign that non-local awareness with truth, our own truth, and to seek to understand the way of the Creator, not fear or worship. Otherwise, someone could be likely pulled into this artificial construct, an artificial view of God, an artificial understanding of economics, an artificial understanding of who these candidates really are today on stage. People should have certain senses when things are not as they seem. When there's deception in the eyes, when there's evil coming from their voice, when you can read or feel the voice acoustics and you know what they're really saying. You don't need reverse speech. And I really question Mr. Oates with his reverse speech YouTube channel, the authenticity. And being that he's pro-Trump, all the reverse speech stuff from Trump, according to Oates, is America will be strong, I will help you. It's like subconsciously he's saying, I'm for real. And that's not something that I buy. That's not something that my heart tells me. So, you know, when you go down the arena of videos where they're looking at people's eyes and they're going reptilian and whatnot, some of that stuff I think is there to take away from the reality of what is going on, which is beyond detection of human sight. So the idea of some of that is legitimate. The deception, again, too much internet can take us into a artificial reality. The deception is everything's physical. And the reality is spirit energy and thought form is the basis for all that is. And that is not only the basis, that is the solution. So I leave you with this. Your journey is to grow your own spirit to the size that it actually is. Regardless of the size of your human body, regardless of the circumstances that surround you, regardless of your economics, regardless of what happens in the world, regardless of how much they're trying to scare you, or regardless of how they're trying to make you angry at this group that they're trying to get you to fear. To tap into your own spiritual essence and grow to the size that you actually are is to become invulnerable, is to become the insusceptible to this soul-damaging programming that is at a feverish pace in both the alternative media and the mainstream media. Finally, ask for the answers. Ask for specific answers. And be in a meditative position. This is a state of mind, of consciousness, of being open for the answer. And it may take some time for the answers to come to you. It can come through people. It can come through synchronicity of something that you're seeing. But if someone actually wants the truth, if some of these Americans out there actually wanted the truth, you can't handle the truth. You know, if they really put out their intentions and it was a part of their daily way of life and they weren't just worshiping scripture or something in a book or some YouTube personality, but if they generally were on the path of wanting the truth, they would find the truth. So start asking those questions and start your own process of self-discovery. It is a way of life. Okay? It is not necessarily a light switch that flips on and flips off. It is for some people. But this is a power that never stops giving. And this is a power that will not burn out the light bulb in your head. It is only when you are filled only with darkness and fear and fake news and worry, the light bulb in your head seems to go out and you seem to blow out. If you want the entire truth and you seek to bring in that information, that energy, even if you can't define it or put it into words, you will receive the truth. And the truth is, there's a sense of perfection in this universe and exactly why things are the way that they are. I'm Alex Ansary. This has been another commentary on the spiritual view of the big picture and how we evolve beyond this matrix. August 13th, 2016, from the mountains of southwest Colorado.